D, wait for it, delightful.
Check out the name tag. You're in my world now, Grandma.
What's up, nerds? So I just finished Star Trek Discovery episode 5, and I want to say a couple of things before I get started on my breakdown for this episode. The first thing I want to say is thank you for coming back and watching my breakdown and reviews, because I really appreciate it. I personally always think, like, who cares what I have to say kind of thing, but and this is just an outlet for me to get my thoughts out there. And then I also want to say that again, I liked season 1 and season 2 of this show, but I did not like season 3. Thought it was a big nothing burger. And then this season, I'm so afraid that they're going the same route as The Burn. Like they like the build up, you're like, okay, this sounds interesting, theories, all this stuff. And then I'm just afraid it's just going to be something so stupid, like The Burn was. I didn't think The Burn was that great. I also want to say, like, I know I can be a little bit negative when it comes to this show, but it's just because like I said, I thought the first 2 seasons were good, and then I don't know where they went. Like, I don't know if it's just they just were like, we're just gonna, I don't know. I just don't know where they went with the writing on this show. I mean, the writing's never been like top notch in my opinion, but it wasn't this bad. Like, oh, I have thoughts. And I also want to say, like, I know that I'm being critical of the show, but it's just because when I go into this show, I want this show to be good for me. Like I always tell people, like, if you like it, good. I'm happy you like it. I want to like it. I love Star Trek. I love the whole world. I love the universe. I love the species and everything, but I can't watch a show and pretend I like it. Like, what kind of nonsense is that? And I love when people are like, well, if you don't like it, why don't you write your own show? And it's like, listen, I got Star Trek ideas, but I would love to make a fan film, but I don't want to get sued. There's rules now with making fan films for Star Trek. If you want something fun, go look up the Axanar lawsuit, because I can't afford to be sued by Viacom and Paramount and CBS and everything. I can't afford that crap. I have a 9-to-5 job and everything. Sorry, there's like a hair right. There's like little white hairs there because I'm getting old. Ugh, I am. Okay, so I just want to say, like, first off, in this episode, I tried to go in here and I was like, I'm going to go into this episode. I'm going to try to focus on all the positive things. I'm not going to try to focus on the negative things and the things I didn't like. And I failed, you guys, so horribly, because what a snooze fest. I thought last episode was a snooze fest. This episode was a snooze fest. I was like, man, they put a lot of sciencey jargon in there and then a lot of explosions and boom, boom, bangs and everything and technology. But I'm all like, it's all for naught, because I'm like, it furthered the story like a tiny bit. And we'll get into that. But I was just like, oh man, I'm like, not. This episode was pretty boring in my opinion. I'm sorry. All right, before I get started, I want to say one last thing before I get started on this breakdown. If you like what I do here and you enjoy independent content here on YouTube, please consider subscribing to my channel. YouTube is always changing up their algorithm, and small channels like mine, they always get pushed to the back of the line. So I please ask that you like, share, and subscribe, and I thank you in advance. All right, now let's get started on this breakdown. All right, so I just want to say, hold on, I forgot to add, so I had to bring up something real quick. Oops, I messed it up. Okay. So I just want to say, like, there was some stuff in this episode that I did appreciate in this episode, but like I said, it's just like it's all for naught, really. It really is. Okay, so getting started on this. All right, so it starts off that the USS Janeway and then some other ships are in front of the anomaly, the DMA. Why don't they call it the anomaly? It's a dark matter anomaly, because that's just too much to say and everything. Anyway, so they're in front of the DMA, and it just disappears. Like, it just goes. I do like the DMA look. Like I said before, the first episode, it looks like a giant eye of, like, Odin, and everything. And then one of you did comment that that's what a black hole would look like and everything, which is cool, or a wormhole. What did you say? I don't remember. It doesn't matter. It's you said that that's like what it would look like in real life, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool. Then it looks cool. So then it just disappears. It goes in, and Stamets is watching it, and he's like, it just disappeared. And Tig Notaro's there. And I just want to say, I love Tig Notaro. She's so great. I love her. She's great. I love her in everything, in real life and in this show. Even though her character is like not that great, she's just great as a person. I love her. So there's a positive right there. Tig Notaro, I will be talking about. They didn't use her enough. Like, she's very funny. I love her comedy, but they didn't use her enough as far as comedy wise in this episode, in my opinion. Like, if you laughed your head off, by all means, that's cool. But I personally just wish they would have used it more. Anyways, okay. So she's like, stuff just doesn't disappear and everything. And then she's like, see, it's right there and everything. And so then they go and it had moved 1,000 light years from its other spot. And so he's sitting here talking, and they're talking about how it, gosh, I didn't write down what they talked about here because I focused mostly on the conversation with the Admiral. So they go to talk to the Admiral, and they talk about how it got in an area where these Radvik chain. It's a group of asteroids that are connected by wires and everything, giant wires. And that they need to go and help them or whatnot. But he also talked about how they've been trying to figure out who it could possibly be. And this was a fun little Easter egg moment because they brought up a bunch of different old school species from Star Trek, and I appreciated this. The first one they brought up were the Metrons. Now, if you don't know who the Metrons, you've got to watch some of the original Star Trek, and I want to talk about this one just for a hot second, but they talk about the Metrons. And the Metrons, they're like this godlike beings and everything, and they're in the episode Arena, which was the first introduction of the Gorn. Now, I personally like the Gorn, and I wish they could use them more, but they're going to be very CGI heavy. And everything, or they would be very CGI heavy. They could do prosthetics, but I don't think it would work out, but we'll see. But anyways, I did a review of the Arena episode. You can check that up in the iCard section. Very good episode. The Metrons, not so great. They're very like, Greek godlike. But anyways, okay, so they bring up the Metrons, and then they bring up the Nilsson, which is from Voyager, and that's the caretaker. That's that big blob thing that brings them to the Gamma Quadrant that they're in. And then they also bring up the Iconian Empire, which was in TNG and everything. And then they also bring up the Q Quantanium, which is Q and everything. And they're just like, they're talking about how like it's not none of them and everything. And I thought it was really cool how they brought up all those different species, from Star Trek. It was very cool. It was very cool. But they figured it wasn't any of them. And so they're sitting here. So he talks about how they need to go help out that Radvik chain and help them out. But they can't. They can only transport so many. And there's only, I think they said there was 1,400. And they're going to go help them out. And also that Turek is going to go, what's his name? His name is, hold on, I wrote it down in my notes. Ruan Tarek, who's played by Sean Doyle. I like Sean Doyle. He was in The Expanse. He's so good. I do like Sean Doyle. He plays a good, like, douche. So anyways, so then, he's assigned, and Stamets doesn't like this idea because this guy's like super smart, and he's all like, I've got all of this handled kind of thing, and he's all like, no, you're gonna bring this guy on, you're gonna work with him, and you're gonna try to figure out what this is. And so they all get their marching orders, and Burnham is she's gonna lead the evacuation. She talks to Book here. I honestly don't remember what they talk about. I didn't write it down because it was really boring. I didn't care. So they get on the bridge, and that's Lieutenant Nilsson and everything. I think she played the robot head lady, which I really liked her. I wish they wouldn't have got rid of her in season 2. All right, now this guy's new. Okay, this was the new guy that I don't know his name in the first episode. He's taking over for Lieutenant Bryce, the black guy and everything. He is Lieutenant Christopher. He's not as good looking as Bryce, but whatever. Okay. So then they're sitting here and they're like, crew, we're headed to help out to the evacuation of the Radvik chain. Let's fly and everything. Black alert, let's fly and everything. So that's the Radvik chain right there. It's very cool looking. I like the look of it. You know, that's all these little asteroids connected by these little tubes. I bet they travel through and forth and everything. So very, very cool looking. And so this is Lieutenant Rice. I hope I'm saying that Rice. I hope I'm saying it right. I wrote it down, but I didn't find out the pronunciation. So they're figuring out what they're going to do. So then they bring up the magistrate for the chain, the Radvik chain. Sorry, I'm saying a lot of uhs. Anyways, so they bring him on. He's all like, "We're so glad you're here. Oh, we sent all our ships out, but they still can't handle the capacity of all of our civilians." So then Saru says there's 6 individuals on one level and everything, and he says, "Oh, those are our prisoners, or the examples, and they are criminals, so they will be left on the planet." And she's like, "No, we're gonna get all of them off." And he's like, "Well, the guards have all left on our ships, so we can't get in there, and it's all I think he says it's all biometrically stuff." So she says her and Book are going to go get the prisoners out. And then Lieutenant Rice, he asks if he can lead the evacuation of the civilians. And she gives him, he's going to go down to the planet and get all the civilians out. Because they're going to teleport them out. And they only have 4 hours to get all the civilians to teleport them out. And then teleporting will not be available to them as an evacuation technique and stuff. Apologies. Sorry, I needed a little libation. And she grants that and everything. Then we go over to the doctor and Stamets. This is Dr. Calder, by the way. So they're talking. I just want to say real quick that I really feel like from season 1, where they focused on these two about the first half of the season and their relationship as the gay couple on the crew. And then after the halfway through the first season, they just dropped them like a sack of beans. And I'm all like, why? Why would you do that? Like, this show is trying to be inclusive and be like, progressive and stuff. But yet they totally dropped the two, like as if being gay is not, fashionable anymore. It's not trendy. And I go, why do these two characters and their relationship get put on the sidelines? Except for like in season, when they brought Calder back from death, which we're going to talk about that in a minute because he has this whole like thing and everything. But it's just very annoying. But they do focus on them on this episode, which I appreciated because I think that that's what this show lacks. I mean, you get Burnham and Book, but their relationship is, I'm sorry, is so boring. I give 0 Fs about their relationship because I don't care. They're boring. Anyways, so they're talking and he's talking about this Tarak coming on the thing and how, the Admiral's all like, oh, he doesn't think I can do it. And I found out all the information. I've been leading this whole thing from the get-go. And he's all like, and the doctor's trying to be supportive. He's like, hey, what did you want to talk about? He's all like, listen, I got to go. I got to meet with the counselor guy. What is his name? Kovich. Who's played by David Cronenberg. I love David Cronenberg. I can't say enough good things about David Cronenberg. Anyways, so, and he's all like, he's like, do you want to talk kind of thing? But he's like, no, I gotta go kind of thing. So then back on the bridge, they're waiting. Tark shows up and he's like, yeah, I've admired your work and it has, it needs some improvements or it had, we can improve on it kind of thing. Which I was like, ooh. I was like, Doyle being a douche, but he does a douchebag character very well. I did enjoy that portion of the program. So then, back on the prison planet, Rice right here. Okay, so this part really kind of annoyed me because Rice decided to tell his story at the worst possible time. So they were evacuating, right? And he's like, my small town was destroyed by a tsunami, but the Federation got us out. And I'm all like, or evacuated us and got us out kind of thing. And I'm all like, Rice, listen, this isn't, Days of Our Lives right now. Get the hell out of here. Go save some people because I don't care about your small town. Move it along, sister. So, The worst possible time. Like, honeybee, we have 3 hours. We don't need to hear your whole life story right now. Thank you, though. The writer should have done that a while ago and try to introduce us to all you folks, because I had to write down your names just to remember you guys, which I want to talk about Osinkun and Detmer, because they're not in this episode. So they're sitting here and they're trying to figure out what's going on. And he says that it's not really that big a deal to get into the prison. He's got it. So then they pull up the thing because they're like, well, let's be cautious anyway. So this little beetle gets up here and it's doing this little clacking and everything. And Book's like, I don't like that clacking. And she's like, that's, you know, what it does here. It's an indigenous species to this, you know, rock. And then she's like, it's done the same pattern 4 times in a row. And he's like, that's not, even in, you know, real life, that's not, you know, normal / realistic. So they're like, something's going down. And so they pull it up, and it's actually just a mine. It's a robot / mine. And that's how they, you know, keep the prisoners in. Well, one of the things that they do, and other people out. So they get behind this rock, and they prepare, you know, Book's going to shoot him, and she's going to do her thing. Back on the ship, he's trying to explain what's going on, Stamets is, to Larka. And which kind of sounds like Lorca from season 1. I wish they would bring back Lorca. I loved him. Anyways, so he's sitting and telling me, he's like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I got it. I read all your notes. From the one guy. I didn't write his name down, but it's the one guy in the wheelchair from season 3 that was helping out the Emerald Chain. I don't remember the doctor's name, but yeah, the human. So they're sitting here, and he's like, give me some mashed potatoes, cold, and 1 pea. So he's like, he separates the mashed potatoes, and he's like, this is all of the, you know, gobbledygook nonsense, the dark matter, all that stuff. And he's like, there's something in the middle controlling all of it. And he's like, and I want to build a miniature version of it so we can then, you know, get information from it, and then we can figure out what this thing is. And Saru's all like, do you think that will work? And he's like, actually, yeah, I do think it will work. And he's like, all right, we're going to need a bigger room. We're going to need a bigger boat and everything. Because Saru says, all right, fine, but I am going to watch you guys and monitor what's doing. So then back on the prison planet, he's shooting these little beetles, which they look awfully like a lot like beetles here on Earth. I mean, way to be, you know, inventive and imaginary with your Star Trek creatures. And she figures out how to shut them down. And, you know, they create these little buzzsaw things to drill into the rock and everything. And I was like, oh, it's all just flashing lights and no substance. Anyway, so they get inside the prison. They get all these prisoners, and they're like, what are you doing here and everything? And they're like, we need to get you guys out because this place is going to blow. And so he's all like, why do you even care? He's like, they locked us up here. He took a joyride on a scan skiff. That guy stole food for his family. You know, and it's very obvious that they got put in here for small crimes, which is what this episode's trying to say about the prison system. And it's like, okay, fine. You know, Generation did it better, but whatever. Star Trek Generation, I mean. They did that story way better. Anyways. So they're trying to figure out how to get them out of their cells, and they're like, well, the controls are the level down below, but they're all biometric, and all the guards left, and they're the only ones that can get into it. So they figure out that the stasis field generator is up above, but it's made out of a metal that's the strongest, but if they can overheat it because it captures heat, and they can overheat it and blow it then. So then we get to the Dr. Calder and David Cronenberg. I can't tell you how much I love David Cronenberg. I just love him. His movies are really good. They're gross, but they're good. Yeah, he likes those gross visuals. Okay, sorry, besides the point. Okay, so Calder's talking to him, and he's feeling all the pressure. Like, he's telling his people, you know, all this. He's giving them hope, but it's going to fail. Like, the hope is going to fail. I wrote down some stuff, don't worry. But he feels like, he says, I'm failing. And then Kovich, he says, and you want me to affirm that you are failing because you're seeking permission to take a break? And he's like, that's not what I said. And he's like, you know, this was a bad idea. And he's like, you died. You died and you came back to life. No wonder you're a mess. You're
Your file is stunningly generic, as your feelings on this rather unique factor of your existence, so allow me to fill in some blanks. Why me? That's the question you ask yourself every morning and every evening. No one else gets a second chance, so why me? That led you to the idea that there was a reason for your survival, a purpose for, I wrote this down wrong, for you to be here, right now. And that led you to a savior complex. Because if there isn't a reason, if there is no purpose, then your very existence is a middle finger to anyone who's ever lost someone, which is everyone. How is that for brutal honesty? And because he asked him, like, I give out brutal honesty before. Sorry, I should have said that first. So basically, he's saying, like, you died and came back to life. And now you're like, if I don't give back and I don't do something grand, then my existence is all for naught. And, and like he said, it's giving a middle finger to everybody who's lost someone. I don't know if that's necessarily true. Because I don't know. I'm the kind of person, like, if something good happens to you, I'm so happy for you. Like, the world sucks. So if you get something good happen to you, I'm so happy about it. Like, I'm just like, yeah, I just want everybody to be happy. So the fact that Calder got brought back to life and now he feels like he has to do something extraordinary, kind of like, I'm like, why? You don't have to. You being alive is enough, I think that that's enough to go. And I think he already did something extraordinary because he gave Gray a body that, that whole storyline is kind of annoying, but, he gave Gray a body. So right there, that's, he gave life back to somebody else. Why can't that be his thing? Like, I got brought back to life. What was it all for? Oh, it was for me to give life to somebody else, which he did. I mean, granted, it was already technology that had been created, but he helped further it along, so I don't see why he can't get credit for that. Anyways, so then they're sitting there, and he says, whether or not we're a miracle, Dr. Calder, you are only human. You need to allow yourself time to rest as you advise your patients. And so, like I said, he just has a lot of guilt for being alive, which I'm like, I get, but at the same time, I'm all like, I don't see, why. I've already explained it. Anyway, so, hold on, let me go back. Okay. And then I did like how Cronenberg was all, or Kovic, sorry, I should, not the actor, I should tell that. So I love how he goes, because he tells him he only has 15 minutes or whatnot and everything, and then he's like, I have a 2 o'clock, I gotta go. Oh, he's like, I have a 2 o'clock, bye. And then he just leaves. So I was like, oh, that's so good. I love that. I love when people are like that. I'm just shoot me straight, just give me all this stuff. Okay, so back at the prison, they overheat the thing, then they drop the little shields. So then they're like, all right, let's get out of here. But he's like, we're not going anywhere unless you tell us, you can assure us that we are not going to be put back in prison if this thing doesn't hit this colony. So basically, they don't have any assurances that the anomaly will destroy this asteroid and everything, this Rodvac chain. But if it doesn't, he wants assurance that him and the other 5 people will not be put back in prison. And he's like, but we're not going anywhere until you tell me that you can give that to us. So then she has to figure something out. So then back on the ship, they are creating this whole thing. And they recreate the anomaly, but a smaller version. And he tells what size version it is. I didn't write it down because do we really need to know the exact size of this smaller version, this mini model of it? I don't think so. And if you think so, sorry, I didn't write it down. So they do this whole thing and they realize that they need more power. And Tigantaro, she's all like, I could do this, this, and this, and everything. And Tarek keeps pushing both of them. And it's very interesting. Like, I like Tarek, but I can see where they're going with this character. He's somebody that he wants to see the results of it. And he doesn't care about who gets hurt or what could happen in the process. He wants to see what happens, kind of thing. He's very reckless in that manner. I don't like that at all. I don't like that in people, and I don't like that in this character. He's also from Ryza. I forgot to mention that. The Pleasure Planet. Ooh, naughty. Anyways, and he's talked about how he was 5. He came up with something, and people didn't know what to do with him because he wasn't all about fucking. So anyways, so they figure it out. And Saru, he's like, Saru, you don't have to be so, oh, I thought I got a screenshot of it. And he's like, Saru, you don't have to be so, like, uptight and everything. And he's like, ah! And he's like, what was that for? And he's like, ah! He's like, scream back at me. And he's like, ah! And everything. And I'm all like, what is that? What is going on here? What is going on here? Oh, my goodness. This show, I'll tell you right now. So he's like, fine, we can do it, but I'm going to supervise and I'm going to have a kill switch. So as soon as I want to, I can just pull that kill switch, which he does. So back on the prison planet, Burnham, she finds out that they can seek asylum and that they can have their cases brought up in front of a Federation court. And if the Federation court finds them guilty, they don't have to go back to their place. They can stay in the Federation kind of thing. So they're all like, okay, we're good with that. But then before they leave, he goes and he gets this. And he's like, I actually belong here. I killed someone. And then he shows her this sphere thing. And this is a Leloni orb. And it's basically just a family tree. That's all it is. Like, he goes on to talk about how it's like a person's past and their present kind of thing, and or in their future, some crap like that. And I'm all like, it's just a family tree. That's all it is. And it's fine. Like, that's what it is. But I'm like, you guys took like way too long to explain what it is. Anyways, so they all go, but then the biometrics get rid and they get trapped in there. So then they use those bugs from before, which are mines, to blow up the gate. And they come in here, and then they shut them down again. And I'm all like, okay, a lot of flashing lights, but no substance. So then they end up doing this. They end up giving this whole, they give it as much power as they can. But what they do is they have to, the power that Tig Notaro gives them, they have to adjust it because they give half the power, they give some of the power to the miniature DMA, and then the rest of the power goes to the containment field. And they keep sacrificing power to the containment field to give it to the DMA. And then they just get down to where it gets down to 5% in the containment field, and Saru shuts it down. And he's like, well, I should do that. And he's basically like, I'm not going to let you possibly destroy this ship and sacrifice the lives on this ship just so you can do this little, experiment. Which he's right. Saru is right and everything. And he insulted his feet. He's like, your feet are weird or small or something like that. I can't remember what he said. But I was like, yeah, you insulted the man's feet. Fuck off. Anyways. So then they get out here and they beam up these 5 prisoners. And this guy stays behind the little force field, which I noticed right away. I was like, why isn't he on that side? I was like, something's going down. Because they can't transport them when they're on that side of the force field. So they transport those 5 up. And he's like, no. He's like, I'm going to stay here. He's like, I did something bad. And I made peace with myself that I was going to die here. And I'm going to. Which I don't understand why. But, like, it's fine. I get it. It's, whatever. He could always make amends. I mean, So he gives them the orb, and then they get beamed up to the bridge. So they're on the bridge, and got Saru there, and then we got Nilsson, and then that's Christopher. And he's like, I want to tell you my story. She's like, Cone of Silence. And he's like, no, let everybody hear. I want everybody to hear my story. Which is fine. I always say, and I got it from something else. I can't remember who I stole it from, but I was like, everybody's got a story to tell that I haven't heard, and I want to hear your story. I want to hear it. I love it. So he tells about how he went to a man's house, and the man offered him shelter and food and a bed to sleep in, and in the middle of the night, he was stealing his stuff, and he woke up and caught him stealing, and they fought, and he killed him. And he left behind a daughter, and then that sphere was her record of her family tree and everything. And so they end up, he's like, you can't beam me up now. And she's all like, no. And he's like, this is going to get destroyed. She's like, yeah, and everything. So they can't beam him up now. It's too late. And then they lose communication after he tells the story. And then that gets pushed into the sun. Like, it just gets burnt up. So on the bridge, ooh, I want you guys to notice right here, I'm going to take my arrow. This alien, appreciate they put an alien in there. And this person right here, I believe it's a woman. These two people right here. You know who that isn't? It's not Osinkun and Detmer, okay? Where are those two ladies at, okay? I did read that they had to do reshoots on this season, and my guess is that those two ladies were not available for reshoots, which I also go, what were those two doing that there's no way they had another gig besides this. This is their only gig, so why weren't they available? Anyways, so then they zap out of there. And this guy comes in, the magistrate for the colony. He's like, those people need to be put in the brig because they can't be with us civilized people. And then Burnham gets on her fucking high horse, and she's all like, your home is destroyed, so you're refugees now, honey, and you're on my ship, and I'll put them wherever I want and everything. She got real, like, Z-snap real quick. This is my ship. I just want to be like, get the fuck out of here, Burnham. You're so annoying. Burnham's really annoying. Anyways, okay. So then we go to this. Now, I liked this moment, again, because I did like seeing their relationship. They were talking like a normal couple. You know, he was talking about how Tarek is, self-absorbed and only focuses on his work. He's basically describing himself, self-projection, but very much during season 1. And a little bit in season 2. He was very much all about me, my relationships come second kind of thing. And my work. But then the spore drive got taken away and we didn't need that part of the story anymore. And he's sitting here talking about that and everything. So then he's talking to him about how, his goal, what he was talking about with his guilt, about being alive and everything. And yeah. Very, very cute. See, like, that's the thing. Like, this is the stuff they need to focus on and get some competent actors in there. I know I pick on Gray and I didn't have them on here. Adrena. Anyways, I know I focus on them a lot, but it's just because the actors they're not good. And I can't help it. They're just not good. All right. So then, she's talking to the elevator / the ship, because remember the sphere all the data got put into the ship, and now the ship is alive. All right, whatever. It's not very Star Trek-y, but she's talking about how, I don't know, she's like, you lost someone today. I'm like, she lost a stranger. She did not know that man, and his story, like, okay, sorry that he died. I mean, and he was obviously, repentant of his sin, but like, you didn't know him. You didn't lose somebody. It's not like Tilly died or one of the other crew, so what are you talking about? You lost someone. She's like, you have feelings now, ship? And she's like, I do now. I have empathy kind of thing. I have theories on what the DMA is, by the way. I don't want to share them, though. I don't like being wrong. So she finds the woman that the sphere belongs to because he told them the name. She's all like, I thought this was lost and everything. She pulls it up and she's like, that's my father. I would have been on this too. She's like, when I came of age. And she's like, well, now you have the chance. She scans her face and she gets put in there. She's like, yeah, okay, you gave back the family tree. So what? So then this part back at the bar. So Tarek goes into the bar and he sits down with Book. And I didn't write down every single thing that these two said. But basically, Tarek says, I came close to something incredible. And then Book says, do you know who's behind you know who's behind the DMA, don't you? And Tarek says, he goes, you say that with such confidence. And he's like, I don't know yet. But I could have told you it wasn't the Metrons or all those other species, the Q-Contanium and everything, all those. He's like, I could have told you that before I even got here. And he says, and then he goes on to say, the ship couldn't provide the amount of energy that the DMA at a small scale would need to keep it going. So that means the source for the DMA is the equivalent of a hypergiant star, unfathomable power. And then Tarka explains, because Book says something, he's like, you're so angry. And he's like, and then he goes on to explain to Book that he has so much anger and no place to put it. And he knows anger, and it's a wonderful, productive emotion, which is so true. Like, when I'm angry, I just go and do yard work, and so much yard work gets done because I'm so mad that I'm just like, I'm going to do this. And I just like we have a tree in my backyard, and then when branches fall off, I saw the branches and everything into little pieces. And I'm like, yeah, that's how you get your anger out. And then he rubs his neck. Now, I don't remember if this was anything from past episodes. I was trying to look it up before I did this, but it started to get to the point where I didn't have enough time because I needed to get this out and everything. And the power went out for my my house this morning, so I would have done this a lot sooner. But he rubs his neck, and the whole time I was like, what? Is that from something? And I just don't remember it. And I just couldn't remember. And then he's like, it was good to meet you, Book. And then he leaves. Now, all right, so that's that. All right, I'll tell you what my theory, and that's the end of the episode, because Book's all like, I think Book knows what those
markings are. And I hope we find out next episode, because it's gonna be annoying if they hold off on that. I feel like a lot of the times they hold off too long with information on the show, and then by the end you're like, I don't care. So I think that the DMA is one of two things. These are my theories. I'm just theorizing here. I think it's either Star Trek Discovery, because when it disappeared, it's Star Trek Discovery, because Star Trek has somehow been able to do that whole thing with the hyper sun or whatever. It's Star Trek Discovery, and something's going on there, and or it's that guy, because I think that Star Trek Discovery, the ship, it has feelings, and maybe it's trying to do something. But I think it's Discovery, and maybe it's Turek too. So maybe it's Tarek on Discovery, like he stole the Discovery and then created, and I don't know what he did, like went back in time or some crap like that. I don't know exactly. That's what I thought of as soon as I said that and everything. Or as soon as I got done watching the episode, I was like, oh, what's the Tarek guy? And maybe he just went back in time, because that show. This show loves to do stuff with time and stuff. I don't know. Probably wrong. Most likely wrong. But again, this episode was such a snooze fest. Like, I was like, can we please get through this as soon as possible? Because I have things I need to do today. And, and this show, tell you what, I really wish I didn't hate this show. Well, I don't hate the show. I just don't like it right now because it's not good. I really wish I did like it, because I want to like it. Like I keep telling you, I liked season 1 and season 2. So I just don't know where they went wrong. It's like these writers think that they're just so gosh darn talented and so great. Like they need to boost themselves up. They're like, ooh, the burn was such a good idea. And they think that, I'm pretty sure they thought this anomaly idea was a good idea, but I'm afraid that it won't pan out. I really am. I'm just, a small piece of me is like, oh, this is going to be bad again. This is going to be stupid. It's going to be something stupid. But those are my thoughts. All right, you guys tell me what you guys thought about this episode. Did you like this episode? Did you not like this episode? You can tell me what you guys think. And don't forget the Kelpian words of wisdom. It is difficult to ride 2 Velbeasts with only 1 set of buttocks. Okay, take that how you want. Go ahead and leave all your comments in that section down below. If you like this video, go and hit that like button. I won't mind. If you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I'd greatly appreciate it. And I will see you guys next week on my Star Trek Discovery Breakdown review. You guys have a good week. Live long and prosper. Bye.